This isn't just about changing the head coach. This is about changing the entire philosophy of Chicago Bulls basketball. We're not talking about a fresh coat of paint on a cracked foundation. We're talking about bringing in a new architect and a new foreman. A package deal from a franchise that knows exactly how to build a contender in the modern NBA. The whispers are growing louder inside the Advocate Center. The Chicago Bulls are preparing a full-scale raid on the Minnesota Timberwolves, and the targets are Matt Lloyd for the lead executive role and Micah Nori as the next head coach. Let's start with the man who could soon hold the keys to the kingdom, Matt Lloyd. For many in the Bulls nation, this name is a deep cut, a throwback to a different era. Lloyd began his NBA career right here in Chicago, spending over a decade learning the ropes, climbing from media relations to a senior role in basketball operations and directing college scouting. He was in the building. He understands the pressure and the prestige of that Bulls logo. But this isn't about nostalgia. This is about evolution. After Chicago, Lloyd spent nearly 10 years as the assistant general manager for the Orlando Magic. That was his trial by fire in roster construction, navigating multiple coaching changes, and the painstaking process of a ground-up rebuild. He saw firsthand what works, and more importantly, what doesn't, when you're trying to build a sustainable winner without a ready-made superstar. Then came the move that put him on the map: Minnesota. As Tim Connolly's right-hand man, first as SVP of basketball operations and then promoted to general manager, Lloyd was an integral part of the brain trust that transformed the Timberwolves from a perennial disappointment into a legitimate Western Conference powerhouse. He was in the war room for the Rudy Gobert trade, a move universally panned at the time that has since become a masterclass in identity building. He understands navigating the treacherous waters of the new CBA, with its punitive first and second aprons, because the Wolves are living it. He's not just a talent evaluator, he's a modern NBA strategist. The report from Hoops Hype calling him the front runner isn't a guess. It's an acknowledgement that his resume is tailor-made for the exact situation the Bulls find themselves in today. For the last 2 off-seasons, Nori has been the hottest name in coaching circles without a team. He's had second interviews with major market teams for a reason. As Chris Finch's lead assistant in Minnesota, he is widely credited as one of the key offensive minds behind their success. He's a master of X's and O's, but his real strength lies in communication and player development. He's a modern coach, a player's coach in the truest sense, who connects with today's athletes. We all saw his poise and command when he had to step in for an injured Chris Finch during their deep playoff run. He didn't just keep the ship afloat, he commanded it with authority. Imagine what his system could do for this Bulls roster. We've seen flashes of brilliance from Kobe White, but too often the offense has devolved into stagnant, ISO-heavy possessions. Nori's system is predicated on ball movement, player movement, and creating efficient looks, raising the team's overall true shooting percent, rather than relying on one player's individual heroics. Think about a player like Buzelis. His development is paramount. Placing him under a renowned developmental coach like Nori, who understands how to utilize versatile, high IQ players, could be the difference between him becoming a solid role player and a cornerstone star. This move isn't just about winning next season, it's about maximizing the assets you already have. And then there's the inside track. The report highlights a fascinating wrinkle. Micah Nori would be reunited with 2 players he already knows intimately from his time in Minnesota: Rob Dillingham and Leonard Miller. Remember, Dillingham was Minnesota's lottery pick in 2024, before being moved to Chicago in the trade that sent Ayo Dosunmu to the Wolves. Nori was there for his entire rookie development curve. He knows his tendencies, his strengths, and the exact areas he needs to be pushed. Dillingham's 9.6 points and 2.8 assists in 30 games for Chicago showed flashes, but there was a clear lack of consistency. Nori arriving in Chicago would provide him with a familiar voice and a system he already has a baseline understanding of. It's a massive head start. The same goes for Leonard Miller. Miller was a project player the Wolves were high on, and he showed significant promise for the Bulls after coming over in that same trade, averaging 11.7 points and 5.8 rebounds, even starting 12 games. His energy is infectious, but his game needs refinement. Who better to oversee that refinement than a coach who was part of the very front office that drafted him and laid out his initial development plan with the Iowa Wolves? This existing familiarity with key young pieces on the roster is a strategic advantage that cannot be overstated. It bypasses the typical get-to-know-you phase of a new coaching tenure and allows them to hit the ground running. For a front office and coaching staff, that is invaluable currency. Ultimately, this potential dual hire signals a complete shift in organizational strategy. The Arturas Karnisovas and Billy Donovan era was defined by an attempt to win now, a continuity approach that ultimately led to mediocrity and a roster caught in the NBA's no man's land. Hiring Lloyd and Nori is a declaration that the Bulls are ready to embrace a new, more sustainable model. Lloyd's experience in Orlando and Minnesota shows a clear understanding of asset management. He won't be afraid to make the tough, sometimes unpopular trade if it serves the long-term vision. He knows how to build through the draft. His background is in college scouting, after all. He will leverage the Windy City Bulls as a genuine development pipeline, not an afterthought. He will approach free agency and contract extensions with a deep understanding of the luxury tax and the crippling effect of the second apron, ensuring the Bulls maintain financial flexibility to strike when the time is right. This would be a top-down alignment Chicago hasn't seen in years. A GM who values draft and development, paired with a head coach who excels at it. A front office that understands modern cap management, with a coach who runs a modern offensive system. It's a move that prioritizes building a program over just assembling a team. It's about establishing a culture of accountability and innovation that flows from the front office, through the coaching staff, and down to the last man on the bench. The dysfunction has to end. 2 playoff appearances in 11 seasons is not the standard for this franchise. Poaching a proven GM and a highly touted head coach from a successful, well-run organization isn't just a good idea. It might be the only path forward. It's an ambitious play, but for a team desperate to reclaim its place among the NBA elite, it's exactly the kind of bold, strategic thinking the Bulls Nation has been crying out for. The question now is whether Jerry Reinsdorf will sign off on a move that truly cedes control to a new, unified basketball vision. If you believe this is the kind of decisive action the Chicago Bulls need to take, hit that like button. The conversation is just getting started, and we'll be here to break down every angle of this potential front office earthquake. Make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss our next report as we continue to track the future of the Chicago Bulls. We are your home for real, in-depth Bulls analysis. We'll see you next time.